Supreme Court heard yesterday that there was no governance in Rivers State when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu slammed the emergency rule on the state. Senior Special Assistant to the President of the State House and the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mr. Taiye Hussein Oloyede, said the Supreme Court had earlier confirmed it in one of its judgments, adding that the proclamation got the backing of the National Assembly. The president said the executive and the State House of Assembly were mired in conflict with many suits to it. Tinubu made the submissions in a joint affidavit filed on May 20 at the Supreme Court by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of the State House and the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mr. Taiye Hussein Oloyede. The affidavit was for the President, the Attorney General of the Federation, and Minister of Justice, Prince Latif Fabemi SAN, Rivers State Administrator as Admiral Ibok Ete-Ibas, and the suspended Governor Similaye Fubara. The affidavit was in response to another application before the Apex Court seeking to nullify the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The latest suit, filed by Yirabari Israel Nulong, Nengim Ibemo Royal, and Gracious Eyo Sifumbuko, the presidential aide, who admitted that he was conversant with the case, said the president acted to prevent anarchy in the state. He said Oloyede said the facts leading to the proclamation of the state of emergency were captured in the address of the president to the nation. Oloyede said the two chambers of the National Assembly approved the declaration of the state of emergency. He said although the Nigerian Bar Association opposed the proclamation, many scholars and jurists said the president's decision was in line with the 1999 Constitution and correct case law. What do you make of this story?
Firstly, let me take a different angle to this film.
Go ahead.
I come into that. You see what I call double speak. You know, you are here trying to literally beg. You know that there should be
to be reinstated.
And you are, in the other hand, going to court to quash that. So the question is, should we now wait for the court to rule? Why do you have to beg? And so that the legal, because a time came when the president.
If we say let's go through the legal angle,
yeah,
the courts. Well, his tenure will expire by the time the judgment.
No, but that's why I said one of the first step to bringing peace is to withdraw your cases in court. Whether it is, I don't want to go into the legality or illegality of the whole of this, but anybody who was in Rivers State, we know that we were almost driving into anarchy, if not we were there. I mean, this is a democratic governance, and I tell you, the difference between democracy and military government is the legislature. In the military government, we have the judiciary and the executive. The only difference is, so it looks to me that the legislature is the center of democracy. Do you understand that? And so if you are acting without the legislature, it means that you are either military or you're going to anarchy. The people voted are not recognized. We have said this times that number, that recognize this person and you are not doing that. I don't want to go back to our old days because that's purely Egypt. But can we now face it? That is why I'm also scared about this so-called peace talk. Because there was a peace talk before all of this brouhaha. There was a peace talk that brought in about 12 items for the governor to do, which is what has been repeated and even more now. That he didn't, upon coming back, he reneged. And all these people who were shouting, each time you see them go to court, you hardly see any name we know. One name will come out from somewhere, and then you see this name is not a known name, so that you just know that he is the one funding them. And I tell you, point blank. But to say whether what the constitution, the president did, assuming that it's not legal, like I'm not the court because it's in the court, to decide so. Assuming that it's not legal, any sane mind, any democratic mind will understand that what was happening, that we were almost drifting. In fact, it was even the legislators, the wicked guys, that has maintained peace, because anything could have happened at that point. And again, I can tell them that if there's anybody we need to blame now, is the president who has saved Fubara from being impeached. Because he has been served the impeachment notice before this whole thing. So what will tell you, what the crisis would have been that after the impeachment and Fubara said he's not going to go out, that's where you see bloodshed in Rivers State. And so the president looked at that and politically, assuming that it's not legal, went into doing all of this, and that has given him that opportunity to be able to discuss with the president, to be able to do all of these discussions. And I said people should allow peace, and if you want to do peace, do it with open-mindedness. Say no to what you don't want to agree and say yes to. In this present circumstance, he has said it again. I'm sure this is going to be, if there was an agreement, this is going to be the third agreement, because there was an agreement before he was elected as governor, and there's an agreement after he was elected as governor, and all of those agreements he reneged on them, and then there's a new agreement coming. The man just wanted to reinstate himself as governor as soon as he comes back to governor, because it will now become too hasty to start up an impeachment process, or too hasty to declare a state of emergency again. But it's not yet to rule, because if you are going to be called back, you are going to be called back with the 27th Assembly. And if the 27th Assembly comes back and find out that what he has said is not correct, then start the impeachment process. It's still a process.
So if they should come back and then there is still crisis that is still lingering, you're saying they can still go back to bring back the impeachment notice they have staffed on him already.
The only reason
but
why
then one would expect that before that reconciliation will come to a head and he's reinstated, there will be an understanding that the River State House of Assembly will not go ahead with the impeachment notice.
Should not go ahead, and not that they will not go ahead. Should is the one they've started before. They can start a fresh move, because there is no court or that thing that have said that what Fubara did. If I think there's any valid is the fact that what Fubara did was impeachable.
Okay.
If there's anything, so all he did is to bring up that to board and impeach him. He doesn't even need to commit a new offense. There's also already offense. We don't have a 2025 appropriation bill. We do not have 2024 appropriation bill. What's that?
But then, moving forward, when you were speaking about the declaration of state of emergency, you mentioned and said that you mentioned in passing about the constitutionality of the declaration of state of emergency in River State. Now, I've taken my time to go through what the law provides with respect to state of emergency in the section 305 of the Constitution, and the Constitution is silent on the suspension or non-suspension of the governor and the House of Assemblies at its well. Now, the Constitution did not say that the president should suspend. The Constitution did not also say that the president should not suspend. So, if the Constitution did not provide this, can one say that the president broke a constitution that is non-existent?
No. What the Constitution provided for, I defined in one of the sections here. I said, what is a state of emergency? It's the suspensions of the constitutional structure. That's the first thing. And so, if you suspend the constitutional structure, what would the governor be doing there? It is itself. It can be implemented with itself.
You know that the Constitution also provides that a governor can write to the president.
Now, if
that is where a governor
can stay.
That's probably where there is insecurity and stuff like that. So, because the question has been that the president has not declared state of emergency in states with insecurity, and here he is declaring state of emergency in River State that has political crisis and not, one would say, not insecurity in the sense of what is applicable in the northern states, some of the northern states.
You see, there are different scenarios.
Go ahead.
No president has declared a state of emergency because of the militancy in the north, in the Niger Delta.
Why is that so?
Yes, because you see, it is the responsibility of both governments. I mean the federal, state, and local government to focus on that, and they know also that insecurity is not in response to what is happening in the state. It is not. So it is purely for whatever reasons those militants or whose insurgents have adduced to themselves. So everybody will have to put their hands together to be able to fight it. And so if you say they have not declared a state of emergency in the first instance, maybe they have not come openly to say we have declared a state of emergency, but when you begin to see them push certain persons, it's also a state of emergency. But what we call political crisis is worse than that. When you have a political crisis, it's purely worse than that. It's a situation where a governor is governing without the people, without
so now, like the president is saying that there is, because when we say there is no governance, the president is saying there is no governance in River State when I declared emergency.
That's what I'm saying.
So conversely, he's saying there was anarchy in River State as at the time I declare state of
Let
emergency.
me tell you, what is...
Do you agree with that position?
100%. What is more of anarchy? That a governor is operating a budget without operating a fund without a budget. The revenues, the man is approving monies that are not within his approving limits. The man is awarding contracts without procurement and all of that, without any budget. And then there is no legislators. And then the man is having commissioners, quote unquote. And the man is conducting an election without... So what is more of anarchy? The man has become a sole administrator. So let's even have a really sole administrator.
Because
he was already a sole administrator. So he was the person who was sole.
So he
was the person who declared the state of emergency in Rivers State and became a sole administrator. He declared himself as a sole administrator. It's like Bola Tinubu saying, I'm not going to work with National Assembly. I'm just going to be doing whatever I want to do. And declared himself a sole administrator. All we wanted to do is maybe let him come and learn from a sole administrator and know what a sole administrator is. Let's now have a sole administrator.
All right, Chizzy.